right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to this week's virtual Thursday training on the Hydrants module. I have Sarah and Casey on with me as well, so they'll be here to answer any questions that anybody might have, and I will try to keep an eye on questions as well. If we need to pause at any time to discuss something further, we will try to do that. So today's topic is the Hydrants module. Do a brief overview of the module itself, and primarily what I want to talk about today is working with some non-traditional water sources, whether they be dry hydrants, cisterns, or any other water source. So with that, my name is Ryan Dennett. I'm a regional trainer for emergency reporting. I'm also a volunteer training captain with Gore, Maine Fire Department. I've been there since 2003. I'm also a career firefighter for the town of Brunswick for the past 5 years. I've been using emergency reporting since 2010. I currently use it with both departments. I just started as a trainer for emergency reporting just this year. So some of the training opportunities that we have for you are regional training conferences, which are a 3-day conference, on-site trainings where we come to your specific department to meet your needs, as well as online training opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll here, just asking if we can contact you about some of these different types of trainings. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that and give you folks a few minutes here to answer that. All right, we'll give another few seconds here, give everybody a chance to get their vote in. I'll give it 10 more seconds. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, and we will continue moving on. So just briefly, our emergency reporting experience is 3 parts. And what this is this is our 3-day regional training conference. Our essentials portion is a basic overview of all the modules, but we focus specifically on training and incidents as 2 of the more in-depth areas, as those are 2 modules which are the most heavily used by the majority of our customers. Integration is really focused on the needs of the students in that particular conference. We take a lot of questions about the program and really tailor it to the students' needs. And then Lead ER covers a couple different things. This is where we get into more depth on the administration module, as well as going through some of the reports. And also in this, we do a mini meta scrum, which is basically how the software is developed and how user stories are created, and then go through the development process. Some upcoming trainings, you'll notice that when you initially log into your account, over on the right-hand side, you have the ability to view our current schedule of training opportunities. Some of our upcoming trainings for the rest of 2014, you can see that in July, going to be down in Alabama. August, we've got one scheduled for Dayton, Ohio. And then September, we're looking at holding conferences in both Maine, which obviously is where I'm from, as well as down in North Carolina. In November, beginning of November, we'll be down in Rainbow City. And then December 2nd through the 4th, down in Fort Worth, Texas. So if any of those are close to you and you'd like to attend, I ask you to go ahead and check out the details there. So since last week, we've had 3 newer upgraded customers. So we'd like to welcome them on board. And if any of you are new, thank you very much for your business. And I hope that you learned something here today. Just real briefly, where you can find the latest info on the top of your daybook page. You'll see any system notifications posted there. This is also where sorry about that. This is where any for our weekly trainings on Thursdays here, all the information will be posted there. And in the event that you need to see, want to see further back for notifications, you can view that from the support button. Another very important portion of our site is the user voice section. And you can reach that by going to feedback.emergencyreporting.com. And this is where you can put in your input of things that you'd like to see changed or improved with the system. And with that, you are able to vote for the different suggestions, whether it be yours or other people's, that you would like to see implemented. So this is a great portion of our site to check out. And I believe last time I checked, I think there were 13 items related to the Hydrants module. So briefly today, what we're going to go over is a brief overview of how to set up the module. And like I said, what I want to focus on today is going through what I'll say non-pressurized water sources, whether it be the dry hydrant, a drafting site, cistern, etc. But a lot of these things that we discussed, can be directly related to a pressurized hydrant system as well. So we'll go over adding a new hydrant. And then one of the other things I really want to touch on was how to request and record maintenance for hydrants. And this can be used whether you do your own maintenance for hydrants or you have a water district that is responsible for it. And I'll show you a little bit more how that works as we get into it. And then lastly, I'm just going to go over a couple of different reports. We have several that cover the hydrant module, but these are 3 of the ones that I picked out that I think that would be most beneficial for the majority of users. So we'll take a look at those after we touch on the other items. And we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so from our main page here, we're going to go into our Hydrants module, and see our listing of all our hydrants that we have. And just briefly, we're using the grid format that you see in a lot of other different modules, which allows for easy sorting and narrowing down our results. So I'm going to start just briefly by showing you one of the things that, in this instance, where we're going to be focusing on some non-traditional sites is the type of hydrant. This is very important if you want to be able to quickly see those specific types of hydrants and narrow it down. This is set in the settings portion, and I'll get to that as soon as I finish going over the grid. The address of the hydrant, you'll notice is a free text field. So this allows you to type in the address of a hydrant, and you'll be able to see any of the hydrants that are located for that address. If you have it set up as well, you can sort by a district or zone. And so you have the ability to print information for each individual hydrant, as well as edit from here. Create flow test records for an individual hydrant directly from here, as well as a new work order. So very briefly, I'm just going to go over the settings, because this is the most important thing when you first start using this module, or any module really, is to go through and create the settings how you're going to use it. And as you start using it more, you may decide that it needs to be tweaked a little bit, but it's always best to start here in the settings. So we've got the ability to add districts, and this isn't tied into the districts that are set up in the administration portion of the module, so you're able to set this up either the same or differently here if you choose. Maintenance types, again, this is can be user created, so to fit the needs that you have. You'll see that we'll do some of the things we can do is we can do a cleaning or an inspection, or that it needs paint. So these are just some of the things that we've come up with as examples, and you can tailor it to meet your needs. Maintenance intervals. What this allows us to do is, if we choose to set up yearly or monthly reoccurring maintenance for a hydrant, and what that can be is based off of any of your maintenance types that we just set in the previous tab. So it doesn't mean that we're doing physical maintenance on the hydrant, but we could be just inspecting to make sure that it's in that brush is cleared from around it. Anything like that. If your department does a specific maintenance interval. Next tab, manufacturers and models. This could be something that you choose to use or not, but what you can do is, once you've added a manufacturer, if you select that manufacturer, you can now add a specific model of hydrant as well. Ownerships should be fairly self-explanatory. Who physically owns the hydrants? Do you have a local water department that's responsible that owns the hydrants? Is it Public Works? Whatever suits your agency. And then service responsibilities could be very similar to ownerships, but may you know, include some other options in there. For instance, the fire department itself may not own any of the hydrants, but may be responsible for, up in my area, we're responsible for shoveling snow during the winter. So we can add the fire department in there as a service responsibility. Status of the hydrant, again, can be really whatever you choose it to be. Couple of different options here that we've set up to show as examples. And then types. This is where it's important when dealing with non-traditional hydrants. You know, I've had some questions asked in the past about, well, we don't have pressurized hydrants in our department. Well, this is you know, one of the reasons why I want to talk about this today. So, you know, here we have the ability to, you know, add cisterns, add drafting sites, dry hydrants, things like that. So again, this is user defined. So this is how you can get the most out of the system is by making it fit your agency. So if you don't have any pressurized hydrants, there's probably no need for you to have, you know, a pressurized as your type, but you could most definitely have a dry hydrant or a drafting site. Moving on to zones, you know, again, user defined allows you to, you know, break down categorizing geographical locations for your hydrants. And then imports, I'm not going to really talk about this today, but you have the ability to import a list of your hydrants or flow tests directly through the settings here. So briefly, what I'd like to do is just talk about adding a new hydrant to your system. And what we're going to do is we'll add a dry hydrant and show an example of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to you know, identify what I want my hydrant to be known as. You know, this can be a number, a location, however you know, your department has things set up. Now, there's a couple different ways. If I have a physical address where that hydrant is located, you know, I could do that, or I could bring up my map and actually find a spot on there and drop it there. You know, what I'm going to do, just as an example, put in Main Street at the river. And like I said, you know, we can do this, you know, whatever works for your agency and how you currently have things set up, maybe on paper or maybe through a different format. Again, your station zones and districts are all you know, optional fields, depending on if you've had those set up in the settings. So now that I've saved this new hydrant ID, you noticed a few more tabs popped up. The most important one here is on the Details tab, identifying the type of our hydrant. So like I showed you in the grid format, that's going to allow us to sort and be able to, you know, easily identify our different types of hydrants. see there's a bunch of different options that we have here. Not required, but it's one of those things. The more data that you have available to you, the more information you're gonna have to report on. You have the ability of tracking when that specific hydrant was installed, the status, ownership, and service responsibility, like I talked about in the settings. Those are all set here. Flow tests, the way that the flow tests are set up in here is meant off of a pressurized system. So many of us, yearly, if we have a dry hydrant, we will go out and flow test to make sure that it's still putting out the amount of water that it was when it was installed and calculated. Currently, adding a new flow test here, we're not able to do that because of the formula that's needed is based on a pressurized system. There is another way to do this for our dry hydrants that's a little more extensive and not really in the scope of today's training, but I will say keep an eye out in the knowledge base over the next month or two, as that is one of the topics that is being worked on for a knowledge base article. Our next tab, schedule maintenance. This is where in the settings we can add those maintenance intervals that we added. This is where we can set that up for these individual hydrants. Now, since we're here, I'm going to go over work orders. And like I said, you can also access this from the grid view over there on the right-hand side with that icon. What that does is that will bring you directly to this page. So whether you get to this page through editing a hydrant or through clicking on the Add Work Order button on the grid, this is where you'll come. And from here, what we want to do is add a new work order. And I'm going to create this one as that it needs brush clearing. So I'm going to title that the date that it was, so I could always post date the request here, who it's requested by. In this case, I'm going to choose myself. And then if I need to, I can add more of a description to this. Not required, but it's always good, especially if somebody else is going to be responsible for completing the work order. If you have specific people within your agency, you have the ability to assign it to them. Again, not required. And then from our settings where we chose the different types of maintenance, you can see why that's important. That shows up here. And in this case, I've set one up for landscaping and weeding. So I'm going to choose that. And now what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to be the one that is taking care of this, I am going to choose save. And now I can go back to my hydrant. And now I have a new work order that shows up here. And you'll see that it is not completed. So none of these are filled in here. before we go on to completing this work order, we go back to our grid view here. Up at the top, you'll notice that there is a work orders button. I'm going to click on that, and what that will do is that will show us a list of any pending work orders that are showing up in the system. So from here, we have the ability to, again, edit that work order, or if we knew the hydrant, we could have gone in just like we did before to edit, or go directly to the work order. So now I've been back to work. I ended up having to complete this work order myself. What I can do is, you'll see that this takes directly to that work order. Now I can choose that I'm going to complete it. I did it. And this is where it's important. We want to make sure that we check that, yes, this has been completed. In the event that, say, something like painting or repairs were done, we have the ability to, just like in the maintenance module, we can track cost as well as time to complete this task. So now that I've marked this as complete, I'm going to go ahead and save it. We'll go back to the work orders for this specific hydrant, and you'll see that now it's showing that it's complete and the completed date. So that right there is an overview of how we're going to request maintenance and also record the completion of maintenance. Right, I just noticed we've got a couple of questions here. The question is there a way to bulk update flow tested hydrants? And is there a way to show a testing trail of hydrants instead of just replacing the flow data? And with that, yes, under the settings, that last tab that I showed you for import, we can do a bulk update for the flow test there. And also, let me see if I can go back and I'll find a hydrant where we have done flow testing. And show you what that's going to look like. All right, so here's one. It only has two, but any time that a flow test has been done, it just adds another line here showing what the flow test is. And I would go ahead and take this time, go ahead and check out the knowledge base. There are several knowledge base articles that actually cover flow testing and adding records in there. So hopefully that will give you a little more detail on the steps involved in doing that bulk flow test. And every time that a hydrant is flow tested and a new entry is made, the most recent result is the one that will take precedence. Like if you have mapping installed and you're showing the NFPA colors for those hydrants, it will be based off of the most recent flow test that's been done. So I hope that answers your question, Roger. If not, can try to explain things a little bit more. So I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a couple of the reports that I wanted to cover and show you what those can do for you. So like most of the other modules, we have a reports button up here at the top that will take you to just the hydrants reports, or the reports for the specific module that you're in this case, the hydrants. So you'll see we have about a dozen, a little over here, reports that are all pertain to the Hydrants module. And like I said, the ones that I wanted to discuss was hydrants per hydrant type, which is report 1243. And what this does is this will give you an actual breakdown of all the different hydrants that you have entered into the system based on the type that's been identified. If nothing was entered into that field, it's going to show up as an unknown. So you'll see in this case that we have 23 hydrants in our system here that we have not assigned hydrant type to. So this gives you your count here, and then down below that, you'll actually be able to see a breakdown of each one of those hydrants, the location, based on the type. You'll notice over here in the left column, what this does is this is just a count for that specific hydrant type. So that's why it resets every time you move to a different hydrant type. And again, this just covers all of them, so it doesn't give you a breakdown of just a breakdown, but it doesn't give you allow you to view just a particular type of hydrant in this report. This is covering all of them. But like I said, when you're in the grid view, you have the ability to filter by hydrant type. So that is one way that you could quickly identify those hydrants in that particular hydrant type. All right, we'll go back and hit our next one here. Report 1245, which is maintenance history for an individual hydrant. So because this is for just a individual hydrant, I have to select which hydrant I want to use. And you'll see these are all my IDs. Here's the one that I just entered in. But we'll go ahead and use hydrant 1 because I know it's been had some things entered. So you'll see that what this does is this allows us to view any maintenance items that have been entered for that specific hydrant. And you'll see there may be some hydrants may have a fairly lengthy history. Others you may not have much for information on them. Or actually, what I'll do is I don't know if maybe some of you aren't familiar, but when you're in the reports module, you notice up at the top that we have a search field, and for instance, if you know the specific report number that you need, you can type that in here and search directly from there. So the last report that going to show you was 1247. So I can enter that right in there, and this will take me directly to that report. What this one is hydrants not flow tested for a date range. So for instance, if you wanted to see which hydrants have not been flow tested this year, you can choose the year option, and 2014. Again, you have various different breakdowns here, allowing you to choose a specific range that fits your needs. In this case, I'm just going to choose this year to show you what the report looks like. So now we've created a report here that shows all of the hydrants which have not been tested this year. And what this does is actually breaks it down by zone. Again, like I said, this was a completely optional field. So in the event that you did not assign a zone when the hydrant was entered, it will show up as not assigned. So if you do your own flow test for hydrants, this report is a good way of finding out if any were missed for a specific time frame. So that's really a very brief overview of hydrants in general. But like I said, I wanted to kind of show everybody that the Hydrants module can do a lot more than just pressurized hydrants. You can make this fit the needs of your agency and the water sources that you have available to you, just by paying attention to the options that you have in the settings, and going from there. So like I was talking about, if we can sort by hydrant types, you'll see that I've got 2 dry hydrants entered into the system here. So this is a good way of filtering and breaking that down a little bit further. So we've still got a few minutes left here. So if anybody's got any more questions, I'd love to go ahead and try to answer those for you. Well, I hope this has helped you guys a little bit in really seeing what we can do with the hydrant module. So if you've got questions, go ahead and throw them out there. And if not, if you want to take the time to look over the module yourself, and then you have some questions down the road, please check out the knowledge base articles. Like I said, there's a bunch in there that deal with hydrants, and like I said, I do have another one that should be coming in the future, dealing with flow testing for dry hydrants. Question was, we serviced all our hydrants this year. Is there a bulk option for data entry? I believe at this time there is not. For what you're, I'm assuming that what you're looking at is the maintenance, like doing our scheduled maintenance. At this time, I don't believe there is any way of doing that. Maybe Casey or Sarah could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the only option that we have for the bulk updates is really the flow tests at this point, or the initial entry of the hydrants themselves. Another question here. As a small rural department that does not service any hydrants, the only benefit of the hydrant module to us would be just hydrant location. Yes, it's a great source for tracking your locations and being able to pull one of the reports that shows where those locations are, or if you have the mapping portion of the system, you'd be able to view those and even print out a map as well. One of the other options too is that you may not service the hydrants, but if you find something wrong, you could create a work order here in the system for that hydrant, and either print that out to give to whoever it is that services your hydrant as a copy of a work order to them. It may be simply an email to them or a phone call, maybe what you do, but this would allow you to kind of keep track of any issues that you might encounter. Another question. No, I don't believe at this time that we have the ability to do the bulk entries for the maintenance. Just flow test and the initial hydrant entries. But something like that would be something that you go to the user voice, feedback.emergencyreporting. Let's see if anybody else has suggested that. I honestly can't recall off the top of my head, but if there isn't anything on that, go ahead and submit that as a suggestion, and then get other members of your department to log on and submit some votes for that, and see if that we can make that as something that we can add to future updates to the module. We have any other questions? One last one here. If you're simply doing annual flushes, you can perform bulk entries. Right. If it's hydrant-specific data, then it must be done individually. So yes, as things progress and change with the module, we'll try to make sure that things are up to date in the knowledge base. So always keep an eye on that, and we're always adding new articles. And if there is something further that you need help with, and don't hesitate to contact support. If we don't have any more questions, I'll go ahead and close this out for the day. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully you got something out of today's training.